You're moving further along within SPSS Basics, and we are now going into chapter. In chapter 4, we'll be learning how to add data for a second variable to a saved data file, create a histogram using SPSS statistics, being able to distinguish between the terms histogram and bar graph. We'll examine the shape of a normal distribution displayed in a histogram. We will learn how to superimpose a normal curve on a histogram. You will learn how to format an SPSS statistics histogram output for presentation in a research report, and you will learn to distinguish between the terms graph and figure. So let's get started. So far, we only have a data file that has data for one variable for one group of participants. So as researchers, we usually collect data on several variables for more than one group of participants usually. So let's begin with learning how to select one of the two variables for analysis to be able to create a histogram. Now, a histogram is a statistical figure. It is a drawing depicting statistics that consist of vertical bars. So when we're looking at the frequencies or the counts of how many participants have each score, we find the heights of the bars are proportionate to the frequencies. So now you can go to your text and see an example of a histogram. It may be in figure 410 on page 35, but you can look and determine that. So the first thing that we are going to do, of course, is to open our data set that we have been working on. So you'll open your Attitude Towards School data set, and then you will, if you can't remember how to do that, you'll have to go back to chapter 3. So that would be step 2 in chapter 3 to look at that. Now, let's also make sure that the first thing that we're going to do is to click our variable view. Now remember, our variable view is the view where we would be inputting the information for the variable, such as the name, the label, and the measure. So the first thing that we will do is we will start our second variable, and the name of that variable is going to be absences. So after clicking variable view, then you will go click in the cell located below school and type the word absences within that. And the next thing that we'll do is go to the label on that same row and type in days absent from school. And that would be right the cell directly below Attitude Towards School. We're now at step 5. And then we're also going to change the level to scale. So at step 6, we will go over to the cell measure, and we will select scale from the drop down option. Next, what we're going to do is click the data view tab to switch the tabs, and then we'll be entering the scores from the table, and I'm not sure what it is, but you'll need to look in your textbook to look at which table it is. This table may be different than the one you are currently using. So you'll add the data for a second variable. Now, in the first blank cell below the word absences, you will start typing in your scores. Remember, one of the things that we do, and we read left to right. So your first, if you're using this data, you would you go and enter the first row, not the first column of data. So it would be 4, 3, 3, 12 as opposed to 4, 8, 3, 4. So be sure that you do that so you understand how we are lining up the data. And you'll do that for all of the data. Make sure that all of the data is put in to the absences column. And the next thing we're going to do, we've put in our absences data. The next thing we're going to do is create a histogram. So what we will want to do is we'll go to graphs, and then we will click on chart builder. So we're now up to step 10. You also will want to save the modified data file with a new name. You might want to save it as attitude toward school and absences. Note that I have not done this yet, so you'll still see mine listed as attitude toward school.sav. However, yours should say attitude toward school and absences. Next, you'll get a chart builder window, and what you will need to do is to be sure that the measurement levels are set properly and the value labels are defined. Now, if you have done that, go ahead and press OK to continue. Now, I suggest not checking the do not show this dialog box again, because this is a good reminder for you to go back and check your work. Now we're moving toward creating the histogram. So the next thing that we will do is we will go and click histogram, and so just simply go into your SPSS chart builder and click on histogram. And after clicking on histogram, you'll go to the bottom of the chart builder, and you will take the first chart, the first icon, and you will drag this icon into the chart preview area. And the preview area is up at the top that says drag a gallery chart here to use it as your starting point. So that would be where you would drag it. And then secondly, you will drop the icon anywhere in the preview area. Now, our next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select our second variable, and we're going to drag it, which is days absent from school, into the dotted line rectangle labeled x-axis question mark. And so you're going to drop that in to the chart preview window, x-axis question mark. After doing this, as you see in your x-axis question mark, you have days absent from school. It says histogram to the left. You will now just simply click OK. And OK is the bottom middle area, left area in the chart builder window. And the next thing that we're doing is we're actually looking at our histogram. So we have our histogram, and it has a label of simple histogram of days absent from school. If you look at this, the SPSS statistic labels the output G graph, which is geometric graph. When we're using APA guidelines, we will actually use the term figure when formatting because it's not considered a graph within APA, it's considered a figure. Now, the other thing that I want you to see is that I want you to see that we have the SPSS statistics has calculated and reported your mean, your standard deviation, and your N. So you can see this to the right of your histogram. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a uh, a normal curve that is superimposed over our histogram. So what you will do is within your chart builder, you will go back into your chart builder and you will click the box that says display normal curve. Now, in some versions of SPSS, you may have to click apply. In this version that I have, it does not. However, if you do see at the bottom of your element properties and your edit properties, you may have to click apply at the bottom of the properties window. You may not have to though. And then lastly, you'll click OK at the bottom of the chart builder window. Now what you'll see is you'll see the superimposed, as you can see at the very top of the chart preview, you can see that. But if you go to the next slide, then you can see the graph, the G graph, with the superimposed normal distribution curve over it. And note that this is a draft, so you would not be able to copy this particular one. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is I do want you to take this histogram and I want you to format this. This is part of your work that you will turn in. So I'm not asking